Okay, with that being said, let's get started and put together our document. So we're going to go into File, New, and because this is a postcard, I have specific dimensions that I'd like to follow. So usually for print, we want to stick to a specific size. So I'm going to customize my size for my document. So I'm going to go into inches. The postcard size is going to be 7.5 width and 5.5 inches high. And I want to make sure my orientation is horizontal. And I'm working with one artboard. Now, there's a reason why I chose the 0.5 for each, is because if I choose to print this out, I would like my postcard to bleed. And what bleed means is that the colors go off the edges. So the printer has to make this slightly bigger in order for the cut to be exactly on the size of 7 by 5 inches, if that makes sense. So I'll show you a little bit more in detail just so you can account for no white border around your design if your design has a full color background. All right, so 7.5 by 5.5, and we're going to hit create. So now we have our document space. So if I go into the rectangle tool and say 7 by 5, this is what this looks like on my setup right here. So it looks something like this. Okay. Now, this is what the size of my postcard will be, 7 by 5 inches. Now, if I want to account for my design to be completely a solid color that bleeds off to the edges, and I want to make sure that it cuts this way, I need to account for that 0.5 bleed, right? So if I don't do that, my postcard is going to print with this white background, or sorry, this white frame right here, which I don't want. So in order to do that, I want to make sure that I account for this bleed right here, 0.5 on all sides. That way, I don't have this problem with white borders. Now, if you're doing this digitally, you don't need to worry about this. You just design your postcard or graphic, and you don't need to accommodate for bleeds. This is just more something that we use during technical file handling situations when we send stuff to the printer. So just something to think about. All right, so that being said, I'm going to copy and paste my postcard so I can refer to this very easily. All right. Okay. So first things first, what I would like to do is I have a color palette here that is very strong. So eventually what I want to do is I want to customize my color palette into my swatch palette right here, so I don't have to keep color picking from shapes and different kinds of areas in my illustration. They'll all be right here for me. So I want to at some point get to a point where I can actually have all my colors laid out. So I'll start with the background first. So I'm going to create this blue background right here. So using the eyedropper tool for that sky blue color. All right. So then I'm going to actually work on this space right here, or I can actually work on this space, remove the blue for now, so that way this can come back later, and then start creating. So I am going to start making some of those vases right here, and it's pretty simple and pretty straightforward and easy. The way I do this is I actually use the pen tool and the shape tool, so it's a combination of both, right? So what I like to do is start with the shape. I want to make sure I'm using a color that I can see, so I'll go with this beige color, and I will start creating my first base. just by using shapes and also the pen tool. So I have something that looks like this. I'm going to start using the pen tool for a little bit more accuracy. So something simple like that. Now let's say I would like symmetry, which is what all those vases have. They're pretty symmetrical. So I draw one half like that, and then I copy paste the other half, and then what I will do is go into Object, Transform, and then go Reflect, and I will reflect this vertically, and then have my neck of the vase drawn for me, right? So then I would like to customize it a little bit more. So I want to still convert this into a Pathfinder shape. So I'll go into Pathfinder, which is right here, and then I will unite these two shapes together to form one. Now I want to make sure that the direct selection tool is selected. That way I can start customizing this shape a little bit more. I want this to be much narrower. Right? And I will get rid of those points right here. And then I want this to be a lot longer. Something like that. Alright, so I'm going to connect these two right here and then start building the base, right? And I'll use this as my reference. So I will start using things like the round rectangle tool to start building. And then use the same kind of tool maybe for the bottom as well. So I might want to use an ellipse tool. And as you can see here, these guides, this axis shows us, this pink guide shows us that we're in the center of the shape. So let's say I want to draw the base of this. So shows me, and that X also indicates the center, where I want this to hit. So maybe something that looks like that, right? So once I have the basic shape of my base, I want to start customizing it a little bit more. And to do that, I want to start using the pen tool. So what I'll do for more accuracy is draw out the handles by clicking, adding an anchor point, and then dragging. Now, I click and drag just to make sure that I have this sense of accuracy. Now notice that if I made a mistake, I can just go Command Z, and I go back a step as many times as I want. So that's the good thing about Illustrator. And you can do the same thing in other programs like Photoshop as well. So I click on this point and draw the thickness that I desire. Click, drag, click and drag all the way to the end. Right. So once that shape is there, I want to make sure that I have all my areas filled in. So now, same thing. Since I'm looking for symmetry, I can copy and paste this to the other side. I will go Object, Transform, Reflect, and reflect this vertically. And put it in there. Alright, so now we have the basic shape down, right? So what I would like to recreate are some more shapes in this vase-like structure. So I would like to add more color, I'd like to add more shadow, I'd like to add more lines. So just to give the vase a little bit more character, alright? So what I'd like to do is start using the Shape Builder tool right here. And if for whatever reason it's not in here, it should be something that you can use and see in your Windows palette, right? So, and if you can't find it there, go into the Help menu and type in Shape Builder. shape builder. But this is something that should come with Illustrator right here. I mean, if you're operating on Illustrator 2020, this should be here automatically. You should not have to worry about having whether or not you have it or not. So just make sure that you have this particular tool right here, the shape builder tool, in your palette. If you don't have it, please talk to me. All right? And know that there's always ways for you to create the same outcome without having to use a particular tool. There's so many different ways you can recreate this look. So I don't want you to limit yourself to thinking that, oh, just because I don't have this tool, I can't do this. Yes, you can. You can use the pen tool, you can use the shape tool, you can use the Pathfinder tool. There's so many different approaches in Illustrator. That's why it's such a powerful program. All right? So for now, we are going to start working on our vase. And I will see you in the next video with the more detailed looks that are going to come for the rest of the vases that we'll be creating. All right?